Would me using video over you using no video give me a competitive advantage?
Yes. Video content ostensibly puts you in your business. So it allows your clients, your potential clients, your existing clients to see more of you, to find more out about you and your business, and your team, what you can do for them, how you can solve their problem. The great thing about video content is it has a start, a middle, and an end. You know, as human beings, we love stories. You know, from caveman times back.
We do.
There's an incredible book called The Story Brand. I'd encourage you to go and find it, read it. It's amazing. One of my favorite things about that book is they do use Star Wars as an example. So
That's why
in the original Star Wars, A New Hope, Luke is your character, right? Luke has a problem. He wants to leave his planet. He wants to go and explore the universe, right? He meets a guide, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he has to fight an enemy. He has a problem, which is the dark side.
Indeed.
Yeah, and he has to go on a journey. And rather than failing to defeat the dark side, he wins, and he's successful as a result of learnings, engaging with the older, wiser person, a guide. You know, and you've gone from start to middle to end, right? And video content in your business does that. You know, you can analyze a service, who it's for. You know, who it's for, give them some advice and support, help them to solve their problem, to avoid failure and achieve success. And it's exactly the same way, you know, you would structure any sort of, and that's any story. You know, you have a hero, you know, they have their ups and downs, and then in the end it's a win. Look, think about any movie, any book. They, you know, they go on a journey. Yeah, they go on a journey. What it does by telling stories in your business, and a video will allow you to tell a story to your client. It will allow you to tell a story of your business, tell a story of how you started, where you came from, where you're going, what your ethos is, what your values are. Of course. Like, I'm so interested all the time. You know, one of my favorite things to do is talk to people about their business experience, you know. And it's weird now because, and I said this to you the other day, like, people are asking me and asking you about our business experience and what would we do and what would our advice be. And I just feel like we're winging it all the time. You know, we're just winging it. You know, we've been in business 5 years, and I often say to people,
crucially though, we're not. We've put some hard yards in. We've done some learning.
Yeah, but I say to people, you know, often they're like, I'm like, why are you asking me? We're just winging it. And then I was chatting to a business coach, like a growth specialist of the week, and I said, to be honest, mate, I'm just winging it. And he went, you're doing a bit more than that. You're selling yourself short there. And I think that is the case of a lot of business people. They get that imposter syndrome where they've made a success of something. Business isn't going to go out of business tomorrow. Like, we've been through flooding, COVID, you know, we're now in a recession. You know, we've had market fluctuations up and down. We've lost clients, we've won clients, you know. Everyone does that. They go through these things on their business journey. And I think that imposter syndrome sort of creeps in, where you're like, oh, I'm not good enough, or my business isn't strong enough, or I can't do that because I'm not good enough to do that, or why are people asking my opinion? I'm just some guy who makes video, right? But actually, you're more than that. And if you look at your business and you analyze what you know, it's really interesting. And what value can you give people on video?
It's like the word expert.
Yeah.
Like, you see experts wheeled out on the news for interviews, but then suddenly, like, we've done some collabs with people in the industry recently, and they're like, oh, video expert Matt Lee or video expert Chris.
Which is weird when you hear it.
It is. But then you think, well, Jesus, if I've worked in the game for 15 years, I'm not at least close to being an expert.
Then what
am I doing?
Yeah, what you're doing, I
could just be filming the wrong way around for 15 years.
But in the same way, I mean, I am by no means comparing myself to a doctor or a dentist or a nurse at all, because those people are genuine experts and heroes, right? In order to be a medical expert, they go away to university, they study for 7 years, they get their degrees, they do all their stuff, they do their residencies and what have you, right? And after about a decade, you would not question a doctor's opinion. If they've got 10 years in something, you wouldn't question it. You just wouldn't, right? Just like I wouldn't question an architect who's built houses, and 10 years down the line, he's done 7 years at university, he's an architect, he's building stuff, right? I wouldn't question their knowledge, their opinion, because they're experts in that field. So we need to get away from that, like, almost that shirk of responsibility of, oh, I don't know, or I'm not an expert, or whatever, because if you've been doing something for a protracted period of time and you've got 10, 15 years, I mean, I've been taking pictures now for over 10 years, 15 years. I've been a journalist since I was 21, so for 19 years, I've been working in media. If after 20 years, there isn't something of interest or a story or an anecdote or something to talk about that is of use to another business owner, then what am I doing? I am an expert. I need to own that. You are an expert. You need to own that. And what we need to try and instill in people is that, expertise comes in all shapes and sizes. And actually, you have something to say to your client base. You have something to say to your potential customer. So will that stand you away from your competitors? Absolutely. Because people will be interested in what you've got to say. They'll be interested in you and your business. And as a result, they'll want to find out more. And if they want to find out more, inevitably they'll do business with you, because if they need to buy what you're selling, and at some point everyone needs to buy something, whether if we do look at it from a property perspective, estate and letting agents, you will need one.
Yeah, quite an old book now by Malcolm Gladwell called Tipping Point. And in some of the chapters, he talks about the amount of hours needed in terms of practice for a sport to become a professional.
Yeah.
And that tipping point of doing 10,000 hours of practice at golf, football,
Yeah.
striking a ball, and any description sport. Then same with the estate agency or business. If you have been working in that role for 10 years and practicing, and it's not. People often say practice makes perfect. A good sports physiotherapist of mine says perfect practice makes perfect.
Well, my little girl, who's 8 now, when we're recording this, she does gymnastics, and she says practice makes progress, and that's one of her big sayings.
Yeah.
And that's quite astute for an 8-year-old, I think.
Well, it is.
But I mean, and that always fills me with joy. That she knows she's not the best at something, but she's willing to keep going, try harder, learn more, and progress.
It's almost impossible if you have a want, a need, and a motivation to learn something, like whether it's keepy uppies in the garden when you're age 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can still only do 9.
Yeah, but when you were younger, you could probably do 20 or 30. Because, no, okay. Maybe this is a natural ability thing.
I wish I could, but I can't.
All right, well, let's tie it up. Like, you should be an expert. You should I like that. You should own being an expert.
Own it.
A lot of people grieve estate agents for saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm another local property expert." But you are.
Yeah, but
you
you're
know more
unique.
about that local market than I do.
But we say all the time, like, there are lots of people who do the similar sort of job with you. We say, estate agents are a really good example, that you'll see half a dozen of them side by side on a street, right? And they all sell houses, they all let houses, right? And you could say, the untrained eye could say, well, they all do the same thing, right? And they're just different in terms of price, but they're not.
No,
they're different people, they're different humans. You'll get a different level of service, you'll get a different level of customer care, you'll get a different level of responsiveness, reactiveness. We've got a great client in Wrexham. If he says he's going to call you at 3:30, he's calling you at 3:30.
Yeah.
So it's varying levels, degrees of separation between good and bad and indifferent. And I think that what we need to do is try and reinforce those good things, and video can separate you from your competitors in that way, because if you say we pride ourselves on always making a phone call when we say we're going to, and then the video reflects the actual practice, where you say we pride customer above all else, and we're happy to work until 6:30 instead of 5 on a Wednesday evening to do late stuff to accommodate landlords who work 9 to 5. We have an hour and a half drop-in session from 5 till 6:30. That's a differentiator. If you make a video about that, landlords who don't get that service from their existing competitor, actually that's a really good idea.
It is a great idea.
But
just think about
it's just
WhatsApp
a natural thought, But if you give that extra hour and a half and you book 20-minute sessions with landlords who can come and see you about problems that they've got, and you're giving them that added value, then that is a differentiator. You make a video about that. Would that stand you away from your competitors? Yes, it would.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So video is just like Maslow's hierarchy of need, talks about money being an enabler. Video is the same in a marketing context. It enables you to get in front of more people quicker, faster, in a more positive way.
So true.
Across a plethora of social channels, website, everything else. And the great thing about it, because it's multi-platform, video is sound, it's it's visual, and with subtitling it's also written word. You bridge every gap, every sort of type of learner, whether you learn by hearing, by reading, by listening, so I think so it's really important, and I think we've said in previous videos that a lack of video isn't bad for business, it's brand damaging because people expect to see it. And so if your competitors don't have it and you're making it, then great, because you're going to look way better.
First to market, baby. You can't beat it in some cases, because then you've got the pack chasing you.
Second to market and just do better than the first person.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some great examples of that throughout the time. But
well, in short, yeah, it will separate you. It would definitely separate you from the crowd. And if you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, call someone.
Find out friends of family, you young people who can, genuinely have grown up with phones in their hand and strapped to their face. A young college student, a uni student that's just qualified, like if they've got a camera and a laptop, man, they're the ones that are kicking at mine and chomping at mine and Chris's heels. Like they're the young, hungry, motivated guys with a laptop and a sort of manual, sort of focused lens.
Can't be an expert though, mate.
Yeah, experts wrap around customer care.
Yeah.
Anyway, till next time.
Cheers, guys.